Commando, move now. Commando, move now. Then they will push the commando. Commando will roll over because it's already killed. Yes. In the morning, we started hearing Oshebe, commando, Oshebe, commando, like 2 miles behind.
Yes.
So, because I was waiting for the counterattack, the first day we expected, they didn't come. Second day, they didn't come. You know, they really tested our patience. And one morning, if not that I had, they say eternal, I mean, what do they say? Eternal vigilance is, they say what they used to say in those days, even in Nigeria, they used to say, or Biafra. That's a word, a way they spoke in English. So I was, my deployment was on the edge of the road. This is the highway. I was deployed this to another battalion, was on the other side. So mounted a submachine gun, mounted everything, waited for them, and I had taught my troops by discipline because we had counter bullets. You couldn't, why those automatic rifle could shoot like Nigerian, they had enough of armor. Biafra, they'll count the bullets. So you can't, if you finish your bullet, you are now worse than a woman, because a soldier who does not have bullet, because his fate is in that gun. Take it from me, he's not anything anymore. So I've learned to tell my guys, you don't shoot, especially when we're in defense. You don't open fire until you hear my fire. And I had a traditional way I fired, so they knew it was me. So we waited. So in the morning, we started hearing Oshebe, commando, Oshebe, commando, like 2 miles behind. So our focus was there. But God kept my eyes in the front.
And that sound was coming from the Nigerian side.
After about 30 minutes or 40 minutes of Oshebe, command, you think that they are 2 miles away.
Okay.
The guys were already at our gate here, at the gate to this.
So that sound was a deceptive sound.
Deceptive,
you guys assume that
they are still
the Nigerian people are still very far away.
Because what they did first, as I anticipated, they started shelling Ngwa High School. They pounded the school.
Shelling.
Shelling was that they were sending mortar. You know, firing or mortar. You know what they do today. They say something called mortar now. Mortar is rocket that they shoot from a location to they guide it to fall somewhere.
Okay. So just to scatter the building.
Yes,
the top of the building.
Not the building. Don't destroy the building and whatever is in it. Like what the Israelis are using in Gaza, or Russians are using in Ukraine.
These are also sophisticated missiles.
So
more like their missiles.
Yeah, that's about. They still have shell. Shell is their machines. You keep it, they will draw it. Boom, the bullet, the thing will move. It's not the small arms.
Okay.
So the experience. That's why I refused to stay in High School, because I knew that the reason they were able to get us when we went to Enugu was that they put us at Enugu campus. Enugu campus in Enugu was already a gazetted place. It was a known place. So you could plot your coordinates and get it if you have a submachine or a rocket or something. You know the way people are able to get to you see Israel will hit where Hamas people are meeting, or hit the house of a Hamas leader. It's guided missile. So even at that time, there was no guided missile that you could those shelling machine, you could plot where the thing is going. So you can plot it by the distance. It's coordinate like a plane flying. Planes fly by coordinates. The pilots don't know where they're going, but they plotted where they're going. So the plane will go there. The same thing. So if they send a rocket, they'll send it to that place because it's already on their map.
Yes.
So that was I refused to stay in High School. So when they started shelling, I told my guys, I knew High School would be the target. So after shelling High School for 2 days, they felt they had
at least
decimated all of us. Yes. So they were not ready to come and clean up. Yeah. So Oshebe, then all of a sudden I noticed leaves moving.
They were coming from the
ground.
bush.
They were already they were creeping.
They were creeping on the ground.
They were creeping. Yeah, they were creeping. I sent signal to my guys. I said, "Be ready." They said, na Mbabu. So as they were like that's my gates.
You sight them and you
yes, of course. I opened fire.
You opened fire immediately.
My guys followed, and we are firing with their own guns now.
Yes,
machine gun, one bullet. Any baggy the people fired. Virtually, there was no more movement.
The casualty was high.
All we were hearing, "Commando, move now! Commando, move now!" Then they will push the commando. Commando will roll over because it's already killed. Yes. So that's what we were watching till these 4 mysterious men appeared. So they will enter the bush, they'll come out. They will enter the bush, they'll come out. Because they say highway.
What was that regale? Were they putting on Nigeria?
They're putting army, but wearing
warrant officers.
Warrant officers. Yes, you could see the warrant officer mark.
With Nigerian Army uniform.
Nigerian Army now.
So not that you are even wearing any kind of
no, Nigerian Army. So they will enter the bush, they will come out, they enter the bush, commando. When there were no more commando to move, then they came out of the main road and started walking
towards you guys.
Towards us.
Open fire.
Open fire. The fire will, the gun will, they will fire them, they will still be coming. We throw bomb, mass bomb, they say what they call mass bomb. It will explode. The smoke will clear, you still see them. So they started coming towards us.
Those are cooked people.
So what was our choice? The natural instinct is to run. Somebody that couldn't be killed by God. So what other weapon do you have against it? He will just come and capture you with hand or slap you and punch you. I just thought about the costs of capturing High School and what it will look like to run away. So we said, so sad. What is them? So they got to like that place these guys are, and we were here. So that time many of my boys will have come out. They were not carrying any rifle.
They were just walking.
They were not carrying.
They were the Odeshi people that was sent to just scare you guys
rifle
off.
They were not carrying rifle. Just that we saw that they are
warrant officers.
Warrant officers. So they looked us in the face. We looked them at the face. After sizing up, I know that these guys aren't going anywhere. They turned back. So, as they turned back, we fired them. The gun didn't answer. Those their gun. So I remember one guy, one man from Ahafia, say, do you know why the gun is there? It's because it's their gun we're using. Let's look for Biafra gun. We started searching for Biafra gun. Couldn't find them. But eventually brought a few, fired. The guy started walking back.
So they disappeared.
They disappeared.
I love the way you put it here. And let me just read it a bit. You said, I opened fire on my troops and they joined me in the next 5 minutes, and the bush was literally on fire. They quickly returned the fire, but because we were in the trenches and the defense were on the ground on offense, they suffered significant casualty, and in a matter of minutes, the battle was essentially over, or so we thought. When the fire calmed down, we noticed 4 men standing by the side of the road. We watched as they entered the bush, came out again, watched them, and they did the same thing. We saw them cut the twig of the young trees at the side of the road, and we heard, "Yeah, commando, move." But the soldiers, who seemed frozen in their position, as many had been immobilized, most of the commandos could not respond. When they found that the others were futile, they decided to do a psychological one on us. The 4 men advanced towards us up to 30 yards. We could identify their faces. We fired at them. Nothing happened. We used mass rifles and fire bombs. The bomb exploded and they were covered in smoke. The smoke cleared and the 4 men still stood there unscathed. We panicked. Some wise men in our team explained that the firing was ineffective and could not harm the 4 mystery men because the arms ammunition we were using to fire at them were the ones seized from the Nigerian army. In effect, they were either injured or immune to the attack effect of the weapon. Without thinking, we bought the wise man's explanation. So what to do? Go to the Biafra Mark 4 or Mark 3 rifles, or where from we had discarded those weapons after capturing Ngwa High School. So we sent some soldiers to go around and search for this location. Meanwhile, the 4 mystery men soldiers approached us menacingly. I noticed that they were all wearing warrant officer badges. They continued to move towards us until they reached about 10 yards to our trenches. At this point, we considered coming out from the trenches and running away from them. When we considered what it cost us to reach our position, I decided we had better be alive or die at the place than yield an inch of the ground. Having made the decision, I came out from the trench at the edge of the road to face the mystery men, some of my men followed my move, and we came out from the trenches and joined. We stood facing the 4 warrant officers who carried arms, horses, whips, and shot, where they had been whipping the soldiers, urging them to move forward. The men looked at us, and they looked back, and 5 long minutes, and engaged in warfare looking. In 5 long minutes, we engaged in warfare looking. All firing had ceased on both sides, and Nigerian troops had been largely immobilized and lost all the firing, and had lost all the firing power momentarily. On our side, the guns were useless temporarily against the 4 mystery men. So maybe we could try wrestling, whatever. So you guys wanted to engage them with hard. The military men expected us to buck and run using the psychological looking warfare. Instead of running, they noticed more Biafran soldiers emerging from the trenches and standing together and participating in the looking warfare with no hints of fear or surrender. As if by a prompting, the 4 men turned around and began to walk away. At this point, the wise men had advised us to fire now, and now that they had their backs on us. That whatever stopped the bullet from hurting them would no longer work, as they have backed us. We fired both the alien captured guns and our own faithful Mark 4. To our further and aggravated surprise, none of the guns pointed at this mysterious man's back fired. It was unbelievable and most disconcerting. We tried to fire a few more times. Nothing happened. We looked at each other too shocked to even talk. We just watched as they continued to recede until they disappeared from our sight. They never turned back to look at us until they disappeared out of our sight. I took my gun and pressed the trigger, and it let off a volley of shots. Nothing wrong with the guns, but what stopped them from firing at the 4 mysterious men when they turned their back on us, only God still knows. This is quite. I used to hear things like this, that they say maybe some people build Odeshi or they cook themselves and things like that. But reading from this book, maybe to say, does that mean things like this are actually real?
At least I saw it for real. I mean, what
does it happen? Do you think they cooked themselves, or there's one extra Odeshi that they took or something?
Yeah, it's a mysterious thing. It's absolutely mysterious. Certainly now they had some forces, some spiritual forces that were working in their favor, because I know that the world, you have all manner of forces. The Bible talks about principalities, powers. It talks about spiritual wickedness in high places. So that's why I say we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against these powers. So there are powers, but Jesus is the head of all principalities. Even at that time, I didn't know him that much, but I still believed in him. And I really didn't know, but it's clear that his grace was still working. Still working.
Now, I want to, before we continue on some of the chapters again, I just want to ask a few questions based on all what we have discussed so far. Now, do you think the Ngwa High School, was it the most remarkable moment for you of the war, or there's any other remarkable, most distinguished moments?
Yeah, the Ngwa High School was fierce battle, but that was not the most ferocious battle. even though it still happened in that same front, the same Aba road, but it was to follow in the invisible, the portion I called invisible soldier. That was where the climax, I'll call the climax of my battles and will I call it escapades, or in fact, when I think I got to the apogee of military risk, that was the year to come. Here, yes, there were risks, there were battles, but where I walk into the enemy territory.
Exactly where I'm coming into, because that was in your chapter 9.
Yeah,
you talk about the invisible soldier.
That is the climax.
That was the climax.
The climax.
Narrate us how you were able to escape that near-death experience.
See, first and foremost, the truth is that only God in heaven knows. First, I mean, there were two escape episodes. The first one, the invisible soldier, was that I walked past through Nigeria Army deployment. On the right, their trenches were there. On the left, their trenches were there. I and two of my soldiers walked to that point. Looked to the left, saw the trenches. Looked to the right, saw the trenches. And we concluded they had run away because we had fought them the previous night. We couldn't win the war that day because there was a cutoff that was already done by Captain Adam, and my business was to lead my team to meet up Adam and we'll continue the march into Aba. You know what I mean? We are here. This is my own troop. This is the Nigerian army on both sides of the road. One of that strategy, almost following that my cutoff strategy. Adam went on right, cut off, and came to this straight road, came to the highway. So I could see them in the long distance, and I was to move my troops to join him. So that night there was fierce battle, but before we could link him up, they had knocked off the cutoff. They reinforced and brought their armored cars and knocked the cutoff. So we couldn't link. So that's how that day. So the battle was regarded as over, and I lost it. Because what wins a battle is an element of surprise. But this time we wanted to have a what they call counterintuitive move. What was not likely to be possible, we made it possible. We repeated the operation the next morning and still caught them unawares and established the bridge. So again, I saw them on that side of the road, and my conviction was that, having known that we cut them off yesterday and seen the ferocity of our fight frontally, they will have left that place. They were like they were sandwiched. So when I walked to that point and I saw them, because I wanted to go with all my men, some of the wise men again in my meeting said, let us not all walk on the road. That there may be some straggler soldier who couldn't run, so let them walk through the bush and clear them. I said, fine. So you be coming. Me, I walked on the road, convinced that there was no soldier left. And I walked past, turned left, saw, turned right, and walked past. Met them. We embraced, congratulated ourselves that we have finally succeeded, and that the brigade will be taken, because we didn't tell anybody we were repeating the battle. So, and now me and my two men started fighting with them as we started to advance towards, waiting for my guys to join. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. It was almost 40 minutes. No pim. I got so angry. What in the world could be stopping my soldiers from joining me? What in the world? So I told them, please keep the battle. Don't let this beat us, push us out again. We can't suffer that. This thing that costs a lot of money and a lot of lives. Let me go and find out what is happening to my men. So as they're walking back on that road, almost getting close to this place where these soldiers were deployed when I passed, I met one captain of the brigade that was on the left side of the road. You know, I'm on the right. But on the same brigade, but the same battalion, different command. And they themselves were not as crazy as I was. So as I came, I saw him. Sir, where are you coming from? Me, I was speaking to him with disdain, you know, because I know they are not pushing up. I said, I organized a battle with Idam. I told him a simple, so Idam, I've met Idam, he's in front. So I want to go back and pick my guys, because I don't know why they haven't joined us, so that we can maintain the trust into our band. He said, are your men behind? I said, yes. He said, but I had a very fierce shooting, very strong shooting behind about 20-30 minutes ago. I said, well, I don't know what you had, but I passed through here 45 minutes ago to go and join Ada. I didn't see one single Nigerian soldier.
When I looked at it after I read your story, I think what I thought, or what me I just imagined with it that happened, was that they saw you and your other colleague. Yeah. I guess they set up an ambush there. So, but because it was only you and your other person, they said, if we shoot now, we'll reveal ourselves, we'll expose ourselves. So there is no need to do this thing. We want them to come out in droves. I guess that is the reason why you escaped that firing.
That is an argument, but that argument doesn't carry in a real war situation. You know what they will have done? They didn't need to fire me. The moment I have crossed into their nets, they will just tie me rope.
So they could have come out and hold you.
They just arrest me. Arrest us. Can you imagine if you were 3 people and then 10 soldiers came at you? They didn't shoot you. You suddenly saw them. Your hands up, hands down, drop the gun. Look, it's a joke. Unless you were like me, that wouldn't have dropped the gun anyway.
You wouldn't have dropped the gun.
Because you cannot guarantee me. All you will have just tied me, held me, and continue with your plan, because you still draw the other people. Yes, now. Assuming they were so look, see, the plan your explanation is not something that happens after you have faced a fierce battle. Yes, if an enemy is just coming to your territory, you are seeing him, you can let him walk, you arrest him. Nobody allows you to go and come back. Suppose you didn't come back to that route, which eventually didn't come back to that route. So that is 5%. But the truth is, they had 2 options. It's either to fire me at that time or arrest me. That's all. Those were the 2 normal behavior. They will just have said, immediately we passed into their nets, they will just encircle me. We just see 3 soldiers or 5 soldiers or 10. Your hands down, drop the gun. And 3 of us couldn't face 10 people. It's the easiest thing. To wait for me to go and come back, and especially people they saw last night that were fierce. They fought battle with us. I mean, they knew that we were eager, but I cannot dismiss this your explanation because I can say I don't know what happened. Only God knows. Anyway, so that was the way it was. When that captain said I wanted to brush him off, because my little brain at that time could not take this your explanation, could not understand why they didn't kill me, why they didn't arrest me. I mean, they are one-on-one time. They should just shoot me on the leg.
The noise.
What is the noise now? Which kind of noise? Noise sound.
The sound.
But sound was already in front. That was why, if you remember the rest of my story, when I now came back to fight again, when my men will fire, I say, why are you firing? Our men are in front. You may be firing as soldiers thinking you're firing because they're already in the front. It's like our soldiers are there. They are here. Our men are here. So if you are trying to fire them, you also the bullet may be touching the people in front, because the bullet doesn't stop just because you say it should go here. It can go beyond. So only God knows, as I said, but it is not ordinary. There's no known military strategy. You can lure people, you can into your trap, and then when they enter, it's like a fish comes into your net, you catch it and put another trap for another one. Then you captured one, doesn't stop the next fish from coming. So but I mean, that's not where the argument goes. So I walked away, of course, as I said, and I went back through another route. I met my guys in the trench. What happened? They were advancing, they will open fire, just like you predicted. So okay, so they open fire, right? Okay, that's perhaps because your own lives are more important than my life, so no problem. Now let's go and fight them, since we know they are still there. Why? Because we must not disappoint Adam. We must push them out and go and join Adam. Of course, we encountered them they were really decoy. So your proposition may not be completely far-fetched, but it's just that it's not natural, it's not normal.
It's because they have what I see that they are taking position already.
It's
they
not
don't want to shift that position.
It's not normal. Yeah. So because the subsequent story, as I said, gives credence to that theory in a way. Because when we now started fighting to push them, the battle was going on. We were firing, but I told my guys, don't fire. Because if you fire, I mean, when we were not returning, we were not firing. Because if you fire, you are risking our men. I told my one guy fired on the left. I said, why are you firing? He said he saw some movement behind. I said, be careful. That's behind where those soldiers were. Be careful that you're not firing at our men. Be careful. So the way they responded later on, because the team maintained they didn't fire. The guy put his spurs, as I told you, on their trench, on the sand they brought to their trench. The other guy was on the right, who fired. Then this one said, okay, let me fire. Fired. I don't want to fire again. I said, if you fire again, I'll fire you. So I said that.
They opened fire.
The bush now went on fire.
Nigerian soldiers.
Not one single soldier had left that position. On both sides of the road. But where I was now functioning was on the left side. My other guy was on the right. So that was the fiercest battle, and I fell down and I said, God, accept my soul in peace. You thought you are dead? No. How could I come out of that blank? They fired the guy who was in front of me, and they tore him. He dissolved like salt. Wow. They tore his head into two pieces. The blood, everything just dissolved in front. They pushed from the trench. They moved their hand and pulled his gun into their own trench. The gun he mounted on that because he saw something. I didn't know somebody was still behind. So after a close range. Yes, see the trench is behind here. You know when they dig trench, you push the sand. Tribe is in the front. You also use it as a cover. So their trenches are below that level. So they were inside the trench, and they will not open one space between the sand and put their gun. And that's how they defend. That's how soldiers defend themselves. So we didn't know who was still there. He put this on top of that place and was firing something behind. Immediately they tore him. Somebody just raised his hand, pulled the gun. Pulled his gun inside. And I was watching. And you were there. I had fallen down just like between here. I was on the ground. I had said my prayers, waiting to die. Wow. I had that consciousness. I remember I said, God, accept my soul in peace. Because they started firing at the same time. They almost stopped firing at the same time because it's similar equipment. And I moved my leg, moved my hand. I got up and ran back. Now, did I end the battle? I didn't end. I still forced my men to continue the battle. And we succeeded in pushing the guys on our own side of the road, the right side. We couldn't push the ones on the left because that was another brigade. I occupied the same line. So I was in this defense, they were on this side, just the road separating us, which caused another issue because they couldn't believe it in the brigade. My brigade commander said I was overrating my
expertise.
Say, I know you're a smart soldier, but this one I've never read it, that you're on the same line of deployment. Of course, when he came, I brought him up to show him. They just fired him on the hand. He fell into the trench and left.
Wow.
So after that day, they say we must remove this man from here. He wants to die, and he wants to take everybody along with him. So that the day, the next week, they moved me from that A company to the innermost D company, the A, B, C, D, inside the jungle. No, they are doing no war, no battle there.
Now, most of these stories are in this book, The Potako Volunteer. People can still get it.
Yes, now
is it
still it's available in hard copy. It's also in Amazon.
In Amazon,
yes.
So that because of time, I think the rest of these stories they can get the book, so they can digest it.
The book is in Amazon, and it's also available hard copy in Lagos,
and they can call. At the end of the video, we'll put a contact so that they can call. The name of the book is Potako Volunteer: The Experiences of a Young Combatant in the Nigeria-Biafra War. Now, one of the last chapter I want to talk about is Wounded Soldier, which is the part where you got injured, but you can still read that in the book. I just want us to come to the afterthoughts of all the experience of everything that happened. Now, what do you think was Ojukwu's biggest mistake in the war?